All right, the time has come. It is 6:30. Welcome to the March meeting of the Osage County R2 Board of Education. We want to welcome all our guests. We've got a unusually full house. I hope you'll all stay for the entire meeting, but suspect you won't. Could I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I move we approve the agenda.
Could I get a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Agenda is approved. We do not have anyone for open forum. Could I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move we approve the consent agenda.
Could I get a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion, corrections? Hearing none. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. We approve the consent agenda. Could I get a motion to approve the transfer and payment of bills? Oh, hold on. In the consent agenda, we need to back up, don't we? All right. So we've got minutes covered. We have an academic softball recognition.
Yes,
I was
sir.
thinking we'd skip it and hold it off to the very end.
We could
to
probably
keep
do
our
it
crowd.
last.
But,
Yeah,
okay.
probably, they wouldn't mind. They'd probably do a homework assignment for the rest of it. So while our great Wildcat ladies had a terrific run in the state tournament, finishing 4th, we're actually most proud of their achievement they earned off the field, which included academic all-state team honors. With a GPA of 3.98, the Wildcats not only met the academic all-state requirement of 3.3 GPA or higher, but led all of Class 2 schools in the state, finishing number 1 in Class 2 for team GPA, which if we were doing golf scoring, that means they have a total of 5 points, and I bet no one will beat you ladies on that. This recognition reflects the hard work, discipline, and dedication our student athletes have, not just on the competition field, but in the classroom. Under the leadership of Coach Ryan Rost, these athletes have shown that excellence isn't limited to the field, it starts in the classroom. So we want to congratulate them, outstanding group of young women, for setting the standard and making our school and community extremely proud. So ladies, here in a moment, Coach Minix is going to go up to the podium and she's going to call you up one at a time, where we're going to hang an academic all-state medal on you, and then we'll pause right at the end after you all get up here, and then we'll take one team picture. Ready to go?
All right, first we have Elliot Dudenteffer. Next, Hesley Higginbotham. Emma Monette. Paige Senovy. Elizabeth Springer. Anna Peters. Sophie Voss. And Ava Warren. We also have a few that weren't able to be in attendance tonight. We had Hannah Hackman, Kenzie Hackman, Kiana Hostetler, Kylie Peters, and Emma Starkey. We will make sure that they get their medals tomorrow at school, but we are just so very proud of these ladies. So in a second, if we give them one more round of applause. Good job, girls.
Of particular note, not all associations or team associations recognize team academic ranking. The Softball Association, I believe, is the one and only. But it has elicited further conversation of ways that we might be able to compare our other teams, some of which have great GPAs, to the state as well. It's just our softball girls led the way on that, so we're very proud of you guys.
You can stay if you want.
As they
Have a good night.
Bye, ladies.
All right, can I get a motion to approve the transfer and payment of bills?
I'll make a motion to approve the transfer and payment of bills.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion, questions? Hearing none, all those in favor raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Reports, middle school, high school principal.
Good evening. So, of course, last week we started off our excitement with the groundbreaking ceremony. It was so much fun. Oh my gosh, it was just an honor to be part of that. And what we're asking is the community and parents and students be very patient with us, because I think in the last week of just getting started, I think I've moved parking spots about 3 times. So procedures and different things are just going to be changing as the ever-changing construction happens. So just be patient with us as we're going through our growing pains. But in a year or so, we're going to have a new building. It's going to be super exciting. So it's going to be awesome. I also want to, and I'm kind of glad Greg's here. I had the privilege of being part of the Scholar Bowl tournament that we had here last week. It was so much fun being a moderator, and Greg did a phenomenal job just running our first Scholar Bowl event. It was just so neat to ask the questions, and some of the questions, thank goodness the kids knew what I was asking, because I'd read the question and I didn't know what I was asking. So it was a lot of fun, and our kids did a great job, especially for the first year. So I was very impressed, and good job, Greg, for putting that together. I appreciate it. And then looking ahead, we have our play coming up next weekend, so if you guys don't have anything to do, it's gonna be a funny one this time, so come out and check out our play. So we did, after careful consideration, the FFA department decided to discontinue our LEN contest. The reason is that used to, LEN was one of the only contests that had a dairy close by. So a lot of people would come even from almost the Iowa border to come to our contest because we had dairy cattle that you could judge. Well, we don't have a dairy anymore. So the contest went from, 150, 200 students to 25. So they decided that that wasn't, worth it. What they wanted to do was spend more time and effort on our teams. And actually, the last few weeks, whenever our teams have been competing, they've been doing, it's been phenomenal. Look on Facebook today, they posted all of our area contests. They've been doing a really good job, and they said that's because they were able to give more attention to those teams. So even though we discontinued the contest, our teams are really doing a great job, and we have more kids participating in those teams too. So that's really awesome. So each year, Mrs. Wolf contacts our previous seniors just to see what they're doing, to see if they're going to school, what they're up to. So last year, 41% of our graduating class of 2024 is going to a 4-year college. 37% is going to a 2-year college. We have 2% working on apprenticeship, 18% are in the workforce, and 1 student's in the military. So our students are doing really well, continuing their education and doing great things after they leave our walls here. And then also our students, they participated in the Work Keys assessment. And what this does, it's a job skills assessment, more vital to the workplace if students aren't going to a 4-year college. So out of that group, 45 of our students tested, 39 of those students earned a National Career Readiness Certificate, which is really great to show employers, and it just, kind of gives them a little bit of a leg up whenever they have that certificate going out in the workforce. I added our data in here, and on our data, our math scores are not growing as much as we'd like. I met with all of our math teachers this week. They have some great plans set in place for the next month to make sure that our scores do match what we need to do for that math and EOC. The one thing I want to mention and my math teachers made sure and let me know this one, when you look at those evaluate scores, and I can get you the exact percentages, I won't go into them in detail, but when you look and say, oh, it's a 36%, you're thinking, oh my gosh, that's an F. No, a 36% is actually basic, almost proficient. So whenever you look at the breakdown in numbers, the way they break down those scores, you think it as A, B, C, D, they break it down a little different. So I'll add some of those percentages on there so you can actually see where the breakdowns are. Because there's a couple spots that it looks wonky, but they're like a point away from being in the proficient. So I'll add those on there so you can see those as well. But we're addressing that, and hopefully through testing season, the kids will do a really, really great job. And of course, that's what's coming up next, so that's our big push right now. And I added all of our dates for graduation on there so that you guys can get those on your calendar as well. Do you have any questions for me?
I I didn't see it on there, but
Yeah.
I do know you guys offered the Wildcat Day to the St. George eighth graders.
We did.
and I heard lots of good feedback on it, and they're excited for starting high school, so.
Awesome.
just
This,
wanted to share that.
this year, instead of just doing just a couple hours, we actually invited them all over for the whole day. And they got to follow around one of our freshmen. We fed them lunch, love lunch in the cafeteria. So that was a really cool day for them. Awesome, thank you.
Thank you. Athletic Director.
Right. So I just wanted to, I know Mr. James kind of alluded to it, but we did have 19 other students this fall semester that got academic all-state, and that did elicit that conversation of, how can we recognize them, in settings like this. So I'm pretty excited to see, and I also want to bring it to Central State 8 and see if that's something that we can do as well. I gave you a lot of information about the seasons, but, although the boys' basketball season didn't go the way that we might have wanted, I'm super proud of those boys. They were very young. We had 11 freshmen on the team and 4 upperclassmen, and so their growth over the season was great. Their spirit, they battled, and so again, although it didn't go the way we wanted it to, I'm just super proud of them, and I'm excited to see what they can do as they stick together and grow through the years. Unfortunately, we didn't get any all-district honors, and our all-conference basketball meetings aren't until next Tuesday, but I do anticipate that we're going to get a couple of those. As far as our girls' team, they had an incredible season. They did some really great things. Unfortunately, it just didn't end the way we wanted it to. We got the #1 seed, and it was sad to see. It was heartbreaking, honestly. I don't think I said anything for about 5 minutes after that game, just because it was tough. But they placed top 3 in every tournament that they played in. They played some all-state ranked teams this year, and they were so much fun to watch. Kiana Hostetler did get Class 2 District 9 All-District, and she also reached the 1,000-point milestone, which we celebrated, and that was a lot of fun. Both coaches included just a little bit of a debrief on how they thought the season went for you to read. As far as our spring sports, which we just kicked off, we had our Jamboree this week. Boys are looking good in baseball. I included a breakdown of what we're looking like. We're down 1 from last year, but we graduated 5 seniors last year. We picked up 4 freshmen that are very promising. I think this season is going to be a lot of fun to watch. So I also included all of our home events, and so if any of you can make it to any of those games, I know the boys would love to see you out there. And so we will have our annual tournament on the 11th and 12th. We're going to split sites this year. We're going to host half of the games on Friday at Bell, half here, and then we're going to do all the championship games here on that Saturday. I also included senior night for that. Golf, we have 5 out. All of the non-graduating players have returned, and so we're excited to see what they do this season. I also included the 2 events that we're going to host at State Tech Golf Center. And so if you have time, you want to go watch the boys and girl play, that'd be fantastic. Track, we are going to have 4 events this year, 2 of which are next Monday and Tuesday. Those are our smaller quads. And then we moved our 2 big events onto those Mondays when we're not in school, just because of how chaotic and awesomely chaotic, but chaotic those days are. They're actually doing their red and white relays today. I'm going to talk about this in a second, but we were very blessed and very fortunate this year to get a new timing system for track. We have been diligently putting that up and got it up in the nick of time for the red and white relays today, but that included a brand new line scan camera, which just means that this camera basically shoots a line down the start-finish line, and those photo finishes that we sometimes had a really hard time deciphering, it actually takes that line and spreads it out. And so even though it looks like it's photo finish, when you actually look at it on camera, it's super nice. You can actually time it and get a more accurate reading. That also included all new technology, which Thank you to Eric. He's been very patient with me. I know where I want to go, but the technology knowledge is not always there, and so he was very patient with me, and I appreciate that. Other facility updates that I just wanted to very quickly throw in there. Obviously, we put in our new irrigation into the baseball softball field this winter. That just got turned on, and it is great. It waters the sprinkler on the inside of the infield, hits all the main areas, but it also has a quick coupler with a brand new hose that doesn't squirt water everywhere, and so that was really nice. And Coach Campbell has been thanking me every time he's used it, and so that's been super nice. We've gotten lots of compliments, on our field, and so that's that's not what the case was 3 years ago, right? And so it drains well, it looks great. It's a nice ball field, and I'm so happy that we were able to do that for those kids. Additionally, we're still looking at what possible renovations can happen this summer, and so I've been working with some companies to get some numbers and some figures in to see what's possible. But on top of that, I also, with the irrigation, right, Kale, who has Midmo Irrigations, he's been amazing. I called him about some heads he switched his whole schedule around, came out and reset all of our headers. He's actually coming out tomorrow because looks like there's a little bit of a leak on the infield one, but I mean, he's been super great to work with, as well as Joe from State Tech. He is, just fantastic. As far as the scoreboard for that complex goes, it is in, beams are in. We are just waiting. Every time we've put some plans into motion, there's been a snowstorm, a windstorm, something, right? And so it's here. We have plans and a plan for how to do it, but as soon as we can get that in, we're gonna get it up. Again, thank you so much to Mid-American Bank and Mark Baker for helping make that happen. And then that's it. Sorry, I know that was a little bit longer, but I appreciate you guys listening and all your support.
Any questions, comments?
All right, thank you so
All
much.
right, thank you, very thorough. Facilities.
Good evening. I don't have too much here. As some of you probably know, Kyle Brimmer has resigned. He moved on to a different position. His last day was last Friday. I'm working on interviews now. I'm working through some applicants and waiting for some more. I will be presenting a part-time person in closed session just to kind of help out. Just been working on routine maintenance. TMI did replace all the failed compressors and everything. I'm still working with them to set up the maintenance that they're going to do on the coils and such. All of our equipment's working as it should. We did have Raising Solutions come in and level out some of this concrete out here that was posing a bad trip hazard. So that's all fixed now, so it shouldn't be an issue. And for the facility and grounds, I've just been working on getting the mowers all ready, and it'll be grass cutting season now. Trying to put some pre-emergent down, trying to keep the weeds from growing, and working with our contractors on site.
Very good.
That's about all I got.
Good, perfect. I like it.
Thank you.
Any questions? Nope, you're off the hook. Superintendent report.
Awesome. As we pointed out, we are definitely in an assessment press through the spring, which is always challenging for staff and student climate, but we are working on that. With that being said, we've had some great cultural things happen, along with our Hall of Fame for the cross-country induction. We had a very large induction there at the high school. We had 30 new students in NHS. There's some really good things happening as far as academic focus. We'll talk a lot about personnel and staffing and those moving pieces in our closed session later on. Professional development's the same. We're taking a look at what and how we're doing this year, and we're basing our plans for next 25-26 on that. You will see part of my professional development is budget and legislative updates that I get in conference season, so that time is upon me. Facilities you got from Mr. Wilson, and also athletics. Of particular importance and always high on my radar is budget and finance. I left a few figures there for you. Desi sent out an update to finance today, just right before lunch, that said our SAT amount that was supposed to be $7,145 for next year. They've assured us, I'm going to quote here, it will be $6,760 or slightly higher. That's this year's SAT that was supposed to stair step into $7,145. Now, we're currently being funded at $6,600, but I anticipate Desi kind of fulfilling that last $160 in their May-June payment is usually as their budget rounds out.
And is it because they didn't fully fund the formula?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, so they'll do a little bit of catch-up as they figure out whether or not their budget has worked. We usually get a little bit larger there. With that being said, you know, plus or minus 2%, I always use that, Jason Hoffman does. I anticipate us being pretty near where we thought we'd be at 30%. What would affect that to a degree is we still have HVAC and a quarter of this year to go. Also spoke with the county about assessed evaluations. Somehow we went backwards $20,000 again from last year to this year, despite inflation, despite new home sales, not home sales at increased prices. I am currently communicating with a couple people at the county to try and figure out how that happens. We had 8 years where we had, I think 2.95 was our average increase. And now for 2 years, we lost $2 million in personal property last year, and our total went back $20,000. So essentially level coming into this year.
Did they break it out by personal property versus?
They do. Some slight decreases on both sides, but at 20,000 with 84-ish million dollars, it's.
So they're saying real property, like real estate, went down in value this year,
Minutely, yes.
which, that's a joke.
It
I
does.
mean, that's, I mean, there's no other way to say it.
No.
That's a joke.
I am working with our assessor to try and figure out how that's happening, and she has been responsive the past few days. I received the numbers Tuesday, and I've gotten several emails back and forth. I'm gonna try and figure out how that happens.
It's gotta be a mistake, I mean, or incompetence. I mean, I don't know another way to say it.
Yeah, there's.
I would think that assessed valuation from a real estate perspective, considering the price and cost of home sales right now, there should certainly be an inflationary measure of some type applied to most, if not all, considering the market. I don't know that we've done that in recent history. And looking back, it appears that new construction has really powered our most recent advances. So I'll give you an example personally. My property tax almost tripled because it was still being assessed at the 1986 valuation. So when I bought it in 2022, I anticipated this. It tripled because that home sale was reported. So I know AV is going up to a degree, but I don't think we're really accounting for anything other than what is turned in through the real estate
And
office.
the only thing that's turned in is brand new construction, I'm guessing.
Likely. And again, we don't have an inflationary measure to account for the increased cost of
I mean,
real property.
You can't hardly make that up. I mean, it's so ridiculous. Am I wrong here?
No, you're exactly right. Like, I don't understand how it should go up gradually every year.
Our personal property is really dictated by NADA release October report each year. So to a degree, that's out of the hands of our county office. But real property is only new construction and new home sales in recent history for the last decade or so. What we don't do is go out and actually reassess real property or use any sort of formula that would adjust from an inflationary perspective the increase in real property and real home values. It's just left until it's kind of forced to change. That's my interpretation. I don't have anything to say that that's accurate, but I don't have anything to say that I'm incorrect either.
All right, I'm sure that will continue to come up, because I think we need to beat that one like a drum until somebody's embarrassed enough that they agree that we need to do something about it.
With that being said, that's the majority of our driver. Between that and the formula, which is the 6760 or slightly higher, the other 300 million hasn't been released, and there's some discussion about the other 300 million from Senate Bill 727. That was a half of, that was a $500 million bill associated with that, where only 200 million of the funding has been appropriated at this point. So the slightly higher would be the direct result of any of the remaining 300 being released. My guess will be they'll go through appropriations, they'll fill out the rest of the state budget, and they may direct what's left over to mitigate some of the $500 million expectation that they placed on us with that omnibus bill. It is a daunting task, to say the least. We'll figure out how to make it work the best we can.
A lot of unknowns. Which is a good segue into a discussion of the preliminary budget.
Little to no change in this area. Like I said, I actually wrote this summary before I got that update today. A lot of that is reflected in there. That 7145 from 6760 is about $500 per student, or about $300,000. When we pass the legislation and tell schools that, hey, we're doing this so you can accommodate the details in 727, I believe we reasonably expected at least the vast majority or proportion of that to be delivered, and it wasn't. Only 40%'s delivered. It's going to put us in a very tight spot. As always, I think it's stated in there, I believe staff compensation should be our primary focus. Attract, retain, be able to hire the very best teachers and staff that we possibly can, and that will continue to be our budget focus for next year.
All right, any questions on budget? Just a lot of moving parts right now. Unfortunately, it doesn't look great. All right, security camera upgrade.
As part of our bond that we passed last year, security camera upgrades were a part of that. I also asked Mr. Moorfield to provide a comprehensive estimate of what it would take to upgrade our entire system. So that's what you're seeing there. Eric, would you just tell them a little bit about what is included, kind of a summary?
Basically, I worked with the administrators to kind of identify some key areas of blind spots, concerns, that kind of thing, and we kind of laid out these areas on your sheet there. I kind of broke it into 4 phases. Phase 1 is kind of the really the immediate needs that we really need to take care of as soon as possible. Phases 2 and 3 we have a little bit more leeway with, but really like to kind of take care of those issues. And kind of phase 4 is just kind of ongoing maintenance. So basically, if we took care of all phase 1 through 4, that should take care of our security system for the next several years, and there won't be too much to do from there. But this is kind of laid out basically priorities of replacements, additions, and that kind of thing. So, does anyone have any questions?
Questions on security? Bob, what's your preference?
I'd like to do a comprehensive revamp. This is still, even if we did all that, I would give it 70% of what I've worked with before. We really need, especially some of our blind spots, and we need to update our cameras so that we can tell not just that there is a person there, but we can come close to identifying them.
That would have been my question. Are the cameras good enough to see faces or read license plates in case of parking lots?
Some, but a lot of them are antiquated and don't quite have the throw, so to speak, in the scope that.
Yeah, and some of them, especially outdoor ones, the domes, they kind of weather over time. So, and they've been up, a lot of these are several years old, so they're just kind of getting to their life cycle anyway. But yes, replacements will be definitely better than the cameras that they're replacing, and it'd be better to identify students and any other concerns.
Anybody here have any concerns with doing the comprehensive replacement?
I think it's very necessary in this day and age.
Anyone? Any questions, comments? All right, very good. Thank you.
Thanks.
Summer school lunch cost.
So we have a decision to make. As we discussed about 18 months ago, last year was the final year our summer school lunch costs would be covered because we've dropped below the free and reduced threshold. Not nearly as many of our families qualify for that, so we will not get those free meals. So it's up to us to determine. We have two choices, either to pay for those meals or have students pay for those meals. I have worked with Ms. Deacon there in the office, and we have set up a June window where we will get reimbursed for our free and reduced meals, but that's gonna leave a balance for the reduced cost and those students who would pay full price for meals. It'll be between $6,000 and $10,000. The big question becomes, or the concern for me is precedent. Of course, I wanna give kids free meals if that's what we can afford. But if we establish the precedent that no matter whether we get grant funding or not, summer school meals are always free, I don't think you can go backwards from that. So as we're looking forward to our budget future, yeah, it's only $6,000 to $10,000. I'm not suggesting that's a small amount of money, but relative to our budget is a very, very small percentage. However, by the time we make good-hearted decisions 10 and 20 and 40 and 50 times, that is a pretty significant budget number. So I'd like some feedback from the board whether or not that's a commitment that we want to make.
So prior to the grant, students that weren't free and reduced lunch paid for their own
As far as
meals
I'm aware,
summer.
we've never paid for it prior to the grant.
And then why would summer, and this is ignorant somewhat, why would summer be any different than the academic year?
It's extended year. It's not part of the general and core curriculum, so it's considered extra. We don't have to give summer school, so they don't necessarily.
From a lunch standpoint,
Oh,
though?
I see the question that you're saying.
Yeah, I
Not
mean-
necessarily any different, yeah, from a lunch standpoint. It's just come to be, our parents have come to expect that they get free lunches in summer school. We don't
I think,
qualify for
in my
it.
opinion, if we do not have to pay for that, I would not pay for that. That's 100% by choice, largely enrichment if you go to the younger grades, and it's up to us to educate our parents and the voting public and, why. I mean, like that, saying we never paid for it before, and it's only because of a grant. I don't know, I'm not gonna be in part of that conversation, but I would totally, I'm not for us just paying that just because. I mean, like, I'm kinda like Michonne on that, like, what the heck's the difference, well, why shouldn't we pay for we got them all in here now. Like, I don't know, like,
Paying for lunches is a lot cheaper than paying for care for young kids. So, I mean, it's unfortunate, but I'd rather pay for the lunches than have to send them to daycare somewhere.
Sure.
yeah, that was the expense, there's no reason I don't think we should pick up.
Anybody disagree with that? Anybody feel strongly we should be paying for lunches? Okay, I think you've got consensus there.
Thank you. I appreciate the
Yeah.
feedback.
Okay, midday alternatives.
So as we previously discussed, we came in under our expected general bid at 5.4 million on thereabouts, and so we have some slack. And so we have those 9 midday alternatives, 1 through 9 there, and I've included a couple of others. Before we get into that, I'll tell you, I'm gonna reach out to our lawyer, because as I reviewed our ballot language, for instance, when I was considering replacing furniture in the existing high school, I don't know that our ballot language will cover that. And we can't spend any of these proceeds on anything that there was an implied coverage on. So I've got to ask a couple of questions there. And so not everything in the text below the 9 fits that bill. I'm not 100%. So if we could focus on 1 through 9, what do you definitely want to do? What do you feel like are priorities? And if there were 1 or 2 that we committed to right now, what would they be?
I mean, I think the big ticket one is the asphalt versus concrete in the parking lot, and I'll be pretty outspoken that concrete's the only way to go, but.
If we don't do concrete and we do asphalt, it undoubtedly needs to be replaced. But if we do in the next, what costs a lot to maintain that, versus the concrete will last somewhere between 50 and 100 years if we really take care of it with, filling some cracks and some divots here and there. Asphalt takes a lot more continuing maintenance and upkeep, and that's the operating side of our levy, which is, we're the leanest over there. So I would rather us spend the bulk of that money up front and not have the reoccurring. I'm a big proponent of concreting the main parking lot for that reason.
Check that one first. Would anybody have a different opinion? Anybody in cahoots with the asphalt companies? No.
I think that would
Or
be.
concrete companies?
Yeah, I think that would be, I mean, yeah, it's a greater upfront expense, but it's a lighter maintenance over time, so I think that's a prudent use of our funds.
Does that include furniture in that old high school or?
In the old one, FF&E, we're inquiring if fixture, furniture, and equipment can be included in the old school, but we don't think it can.
Is that, the furniture there is
Sure.
24 years old or?
Yeah. Well, we're checking with the bond council to see if we can or not.
We didn't think we were gonna be able to afford it, quite honestly. We've just done well enough with the proceeds through MOCAT and some planning and some timing that we have slack that we didn't have. If I can do that, we've discussed, Aaron and I doing that, just don't know that we can yet.
So then after that one, I think the northwest parking lot, whether it's gravel or asphalt, is next, correct?
Is a big one.
Or concrete.
I can tell you this about number 2 at 115,000, we will never have it done cheaper than that.
Correct. Yes, I agree. I mean, that we're getting a deal there because of
The mistake.
a mistake that was made in the bidding process, so I would tend to agree, because we'll never get it done any cheaper.
Outside of that, aesthetically, it will be beautiful. And from a maintenance standpoint, we're not gonna have to deal with the gravel, we're not gonna have to deal with the moving stops. That number includes all the wheel stops, it painted, the lights, the cameras. It'll be a very nice parking lot, and it'll give us about overall, a net gain of about 120 spaces, once that's completed, and we're likely to have that going into our next school year, before this fall. It would be beautiful. That would be my second option.
Is anybody against beauty? Does anybody have a problem with asphalting the northwest parking lot?
So is the thought is there that to asphalt that instead of concrete is just because it doesn't get as much wear and tear, or?
Won't get as much, but we actually, we would be absolutely maximizing our budget in that respect. That would be about 1.1 million, and we wouldn't be able to do anything else, so it's a matter of, could we do a couple of 2 or 3 of these smaller things, but leave that asphalt?
Okay.
You could decide as.
We don't have buses running on that,
No, we shouldn't have this.
which
That
is
makes it
primarily
easier.
what tears up asphalt.
Sure.
Okay.
Buses and delivery trucks, and that'll all be main parking lot concrete.
That's
We'll
true.
look good there.
Okay, so we're good on that.
Mhm.
Then beyond that, what do we go to? High school flooring, you've gotta see if that's eligible.
Gotta
Well,
see if
I would
that's
think
el-
that one would be to tie it all
I
together to
do.
make a functional space.
I look at that as a continuation of an existing system that's being installed. We're just choosing to expand the scope of that system. I think that passes the sniff test. I would also say, believe it or not, when we were first presented number 8, the new fire alarm upgrade, that was presented as a $40,000 to $60,000 ticket item to have that new voice command fire alarm. At $5,202 to update, I don't have a massive aversion to that at this point. I just didn't think it was worth spending $40,000 to $60,000 just to have a voice come on and say, "There's a fire in the building. There's a fire in the
So
building."
if we did that, it would cover that whole building?
Yes.
So
So
it's
we
in
were
the
thinking
middle
that
school.
upgrade and panel and all that was gonna be $40,000 to $60,000.
Okay.
Those were our initial estimates.
And that was one I pushed back on pretty hard, just because it seemed ridiculous to me to spend $40,000.
Sure.
When we could just tap onto the existing system, but, I mean, we've got how old is our system that we're tapping into?
It's 25 years.
So we might as well, and hopefully the system's big enough that when the high school fails, we can tap into the existing high school fails. We may wanna check on that. Can we then tie into the new one, or would we replace that one?
I can ask.
Yeah, I don't know that it really matters, but 5,000 seems, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter one way or another to me.
It's a wash.
Yeah, I still think it's a little ridiculous to think that kids can't figure out if fire alarm's going
Yeah.
on and can't get out of the building. But
Yeah.
without being told, get out of the building, when they see smoke.
Probably should be some adults running around saying, get out of the building. Just, I thought we had that.
Yeah, I would think so. So then the last one.
That's a fact.
Is, and at that point, do we have money to do HVAC upgrade or not?
We do, we'd be at about 839,000 with the first two -5, so 844. So we have another couple $100,000 that we could, you know, if we're gonna do the HVAC to heat pumps, we probably need to make that decision just for lead time on
For
equipment.
ordering equipment.
Sooner
a lot
than
of time
later.
that's- It used to be a year out. Those are small enough, they're probably not that far out. My only thought there was, and I pushed on this one in, when we were to the 100% design stage. And how many of us still have, that don't have heat pumps in our houses? I mean, we all have heat pumps instead of straight electric because they're so much more efficient. Was at least my thought, or straight propane, which is what we'd have.
I don't think at the difference in heat, I think 7, if we could do 7 and 9, and then leave the slack in the system, for another choice later on, which would put us a little over halfway, beyond what slack we have left. 845, 945, 950, we still have 102,000 left in there. For a later decision you guys might wanna make about upgrading this, or putting that a little bit wider or narrower, or more lights there.
Or furniture or whatever.
Or furniture,
If
that's
we can do
exactly
it.
right. So we would extend the flooring, upgrade to the heat pumps, concrete the main parking lot, and asphalt the northwest parking lot. And have a couple hundred in slack to make a later decision as we gain clarity and work our budget a little
Which
further.
could ultimately go to other facilities too. They
Could.
wouldn't have to go to the
Right.
school, sure. Thoughts, concerns?
I think that sounds good. I'm excited that we have options.
We all good? All right, very good. With that, action items.
Staff salary schedule, I would love to do a big, staff increases right now, but there's too much ambiguity, and so just like the last 2 years, I would like to, of course, say that we're gonna do step increases like we always do, but leave the schedules as they are right now, both certified and classified, and as we gain room in budget planning, we can re-approve an increased salary schedule for one, both, or part of the classified. But we do need to go ahead and approve them now.
Is it safe to say we wouldn't look at anything but a step until the election?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, so can I get a motion to approve the certified staff salary schedule and step increase?
I move we approve the certified staff salary schedule with the step increase.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Questions or discussion?
Okay.
And I think it's clear, this isn't to say we don't wanna do other increases, we just need to see
Right.
not only where the election goes, but also where the General Assembly goes as well.
Right. We won't get anything sent to the governor's desk until May, and he doesn't necessarily have to sign it until June.
Correct.
So we have a little bit of time, but what I will be doing, especially through conference where they're doing a lot of updates and telling us what we can count on, I'll be bringing that back to you, and every time I'll let you know how much space we have and what that means for our salary schedule, and we'll direct all of it that way.
All right. Have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Can I get a motion to approve the classified staff salary and step increases?
I'll make a motion to approve the classified staff salary schedule and step increase.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All right, hearing no discussion. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Very good. Motion carries. 2025, 2026 school calendar.
So I provided you with a 4-day calendar with our first day of school beginning August 19th, last day of school being May 15th, which is 143 full days 3 larger half-days, 1 small half-day that last day, totaling 66,242 minutes, which does get us slightly over 1,104 hours, which is what DESE requires. We have 5 days built into semester 2, more than semester 1 for inclement weather days. Few things that we listen to for our staff. They really like on a 4-day schedule, coming in on Monday, having the half day on Thursday and being off Friday, because they typically tend to be exhausted after parent-teacher conferences. That's been popular with our staff. We also had a request. Our exchange days right now are centered around Easter. We had a request for the day after the Super Bowl, which I think is a bit optimistic considering the results of the last Super Bowl. But we did put one of our exchange days in February 9th, so that those folks who attend PD over the summer or the other opportunities our principals have provided, they can have the opportunity to not be here that day, along with an additional day in April. We've got our quarters and our terms fairly spread out, and 9 professional development days as we have in the past.
I would contend that drowning sorrows after the Super Bowl is probably more taxing on the body than the Super Bowl itself.
I don't know, my team's not been in so long, I just drown my sorrows all year long.
And they're probably not going next year either. All right, any discussion on the calendar? No. Okay, and I do believe there was a 5-day calendar in there, but we're a long ways away from discussing that in any serious fashion.
Like we discussed before, there's so many things that we would have to do before that, including, I think we should at least make the minimum base salary. I don't even think you have a discussion until after that. We're not paying them.
Yep, agreed. I know there's been a little bit of chatter online about it, but yeah, we haven't gone anywhere with that discussion
sir.
yet. Other than the board's interested in discussing at some
Just
point.
give you a
in the
look
future.
at what it might look like, that's all.
All right, can I get a motion to approve the 25-26 school calendar?
I move we approve the 25-26 school calendar.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Final reading of policy 0411.
So this is our final reading, and should this meet the needs of the Board of Education, it would be appropriate to vote on it afterwards as part of our process and our policy. I'll read it in whole. Policy 0411, a tentative agenda for each regular, special, or proposed closed meeting of the board shall be prepared by the superintendent in consultation with the board president and shall be included in any public notice of such meetings. Any member of the board may request items be placed on the agenda. The tentative agenda-related materials and minutes of the previous meeting shall be delivered to each board member via shared electronic document or file or electronic mail at least 2 business days prior to the stated meeting, unless a special emergency meeting is called at a time which makes the 2-day notice impossible. In the event that a board member cannot access meeting documents electronically, hard copies will be made available by the end of the business day 2 days prior to the meeting in the Board of Education office. Thus, persons who wish to suggest items for the agenda should contact the superintendent or Board of Education president at least 3 working days prior to the meeting date. Items recommended with less than 3 days notice should be directed to both the superintendent and the board president for consideration. The agenda for each meeting of the board shall be adopted or modified by a motion of a majority of those board members present. Once the agenda is approved, it shall require a vote of majority of the board members present to make additional modifications. The agenda for closed session shall be on a separate document. However, the motion to close the meeting must be voted on during a public meeting and must also include the reasons for closing the meeting with references to the specific topics under the provision of section 610.021 RSMO as valid grounds for closed meeting session.
All right, can I get a motion to formally pass policy 411?
I move to pass policy, to approve policy 411.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Discussion, questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Policy 411 has been third read and finally passed. The next regular meeting of the Board of Education will be April 17th at the same time. Could I get a motion to adjourn? And go to closed session.
I move we adjourn to closed session pursuant of RSMO 610.021 ASD subsections 13 relative to personally identifiable employment information, 3 personnel actions, 6 personally identifiable student information.
We're good. Get a motion, can I get a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, Brad?
Yes.
Lori? Naomi?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Brett?
Yes.
Jamie? And I am a yes. We're adjourned to closed session.